Most people never fail at success. They fail at starting. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack time, and certainly not because life denied them the chance. No, most people fail before they even begin, because the battle is lost in the mind long before it's ever fought in the world. The dream flickers for a moment, then the doubt rushes in. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? What will they think of me? And just like that, the fire dies. Not with an explosion, but with a whisper. You see, the greatest cemetery isn't filled with bodies. It's filled with dreams that never left the mind. Books never written, ideas never built, visions never pursued. They were murdered, not by failure, but by hesitation, by fear dressed as logic, by perfectionism disguised as preparation. The truth is, most people are so afraid to lose, they never step onto the field. They spend their lives rehearsing their potential in private, waiting for the right time, waiting to be chosen, waiting for the fear to go away before they act. But the right time never comes. No one's coming to give them permission. And the fear, it never leaves. It waits. It waits for the brave. It waits for the chosen. And it tests the few who dare to rise. So understand this. You weren't denied success. You were seduced into delay. Distracted into doubt. Conditioned into conformity. Not by your enemies, but by your comfort, by your habits, by your refusal to decide. And that's where most people die, at the starting line, still laced in their own shoes, still holding the map, still dreaming of the mountain, but never taking the first step. Not realizing that the first step is never perfect. It's just proof that the dream has a heartbeat, that the vision still breathes. Because until you act, nothing is real. All the affirmations, the journals, the research, it means nothing if your feet never move. You don't need more information. You don't need more confidence. You need more conviction. The kind Edison had when he tried 1,000 times and refused to call them failures. The kind Walt Disney had when he was told he had no imagination. The kind Colonel Sanders had when his recipe was rejected over 1,000 times at age 65. They weren't chosen. They chose themselves. And they began when it was ugly, when it was uncertain, when it was terrifying. Because they knew something most people never understand. Starting imperfectly is infinitely more powerful than waiting perfectly. You cannot master a future you're too afraid to begin. You cannot shape a destiny you never dare to touch. And you will never conquer what you refuse to face. Most people fail before they begin because they believe the lie that doubt must vanish before they act. But in truth, doubt vanishes because you act. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving through the fear like a blade through silence. And the moment you begin, the moment your feet hit the path, the world shifts. Not because the path becomes easier, but because you become stronger. Everything begins in the mind. Before a fortune is built, before a legacy is forged, before a revolution is born, it starts with a single defiant thought. I refuse to stay where I am. But here's the paradox. The mind that can build empires can also be the cage that keeps you small. The thoughts you tolerate become the standards you live by. And most people, they build prisons out of their doubts, then decorate them with distractions. They say things like, "I'm just not that kind of person. It's too late for me. Maybe in my next life." But those aren't facts. They're beliefs injected by a world that profits from your mediocrity. Let me tell you something powerful. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not your environment. And you sure as hell are not your fears. You are what you decide to become. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And he was right. Because belief doesn't follow results. Belief creates them. Most people wait for external proof, a promotion, a client, a trophy, a crowd. But belief is internal. It's invisible. It's forged in silence when no one is clapping, when the dream still looks like a fantasy and the mirror doesn't reflect it yet. The world tells you, be realistic, stay safe, don't dream too big. But those are the voices of the defeated, handing you the same chains that bound them. You have to silence them, not with anger, not with ego, but with action. Because every time you take one bold, defiant step toward your dream, you reinforce a new identity. I am the kind of person who builds what I believe. That identity, it doesn't come from affirmations. It comes from evidence. Self-made, self-earned. It's born the moment you do what most people avoid. You begin. Even when it's messy. Even when it's lonely. Even when there's no applause. Yet. Because the voice in your head that says you're not ready, that's not the truth. That's your comfort zone begging for survival. But the voice inside that says do it anyway, that voice is rare and real and ruthless in its purpose. Listen to it. Because belief is a muscle. And like all muscles, it only grows when challenged. So if your vision doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. If your actions don't stretch you, they won't change you. You must train your mind to see beyond the visible, to live from the outcome, not just for it. To see yourself already in possession of the thing you seek. Not someday, but now. That's how Carnegie built an empire before age 35. That's how Lincoln led a broken nation out of its darkness. That's how Oprah rose from trauma to global influence. They didn't wait for belief to come from the world. They pulled it from within, and then made the world believe in them. Because belief, real belief, doesn't whisper. It roars. And when it lives inside you, there is no obstacle you won't face, no voice you won't silence, no mountain you won't climb. Clarity is the weapon of the few. The masses drift. They move like leaves in the wind, pushed by fear, pulled by opinion, never rooted in anything real. But the few, the ones who begin and build and become, they don't move until the vision is carved into their bones. They don't just want success. They know exactly what it looks like, what it feels like, what it demands. Because when your vision is blurry, your actions are weak, and weak actions create empty lives. The world is full of people chasing goals they never chose, climbing ladders that lead to someone else's rooftop. They wake up at 40, wondering why they're numb, why nothing fills them, no matter how much they achieve. It's not because they failed, it's because they never aligned their success with their purpose. Listen, Money is powerful. Status has reach. But purpose is fire. Purpose is what makes a man walk through hell with a smile on his face. It's what makes a woman rise from tragedy and still choose to lead. Purpose doesn't ask if it's easy. It only asks, is this why you were born? Most people don't begin because they don't know where they're going. But here's the secret. You don't need all the answers. You just need a clear direction, a burning why. A vision so precise that it becomes non-negotiable. When you have that kind of clarity, distraction dies, temptation fades, comfort becomes the enemy, and every action, every breath becomes sacred, not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he liked experiments. He did it because he saw the world differently. He believed humanity could go further. So he worked 10,000 failed trials deep until the world caught up with his vision. That's clarity. That's obsession with purpose. And when your vision burns that bright, it's what makes a woman rise from tragedy and still choose to lead. Purpose doesn't ask if it's easy. It only asks, is this why you were born? Most people don't begin because they don't know where they're going. But here's the secret. You don't need all the answers. You just need a clear direction, a burning why. A vision so precise that it becomes non-negotiable. When you have that kind of clarity, distraction dies, temptation fades, comfort becomes the enemy, and every action, every breath becomes sacred, not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he liked experiments. He did it because he saw the world differently. He believed humanity could go further. So he worked 10,000 failed trials deep until the world caught up with his vision. That's clarity. That's obsession with purpose. And when your vision burns that bright, you stop negotiating with your doubts. You stop entertaining mediocrity. You stop explaining your dream to people who've never built one. Clarity doesn't make the path easier, but it does make it inevitable. Because now, your life has direction. You're not reacting, you're creating. You're not chasing applause, you're honoring a calling. And in a world drowning in noise, the person with clarity becomes unstoppable. So ask yourself, what are you building? What burns in your chest that won't let you sleep? What would you do if no one ever applauded, but you knew it mattered? That's your compass. That's your edge. That's your soul's instruction. Don't ignore it. Don't water it down. Don't shelf it until later. Because later becomes never, and never is where most dreams die. You don't need permission to begin. You don't need applause to pursue. You need vision and the guts to move toward it. Start with what you have from where you are. Just begin and the path will reveal itself. Dreams are not built in moments of motivation. They are forged in the fire of discipline. Discipline is doing what must be done long after the mood you set it in has faded. It is the invisible bridge between the vision in your mind and the empire in your hands. And most people, they never cross that bridge. They talk, they plan, they wish. But when the grind begins, when the applause fades and the excitement dies, they vanish. Because their dreams were convenient, not committed. They were chasing a feeling, not a future. But the great ones, the ones who build rather than just dream, they understand one thing most never will. Action is the antidote to fear. Discipline is the proof of belief. You see, every excuse you've ever made has one job: to protect you from discomfort. But discomfort is the only place growth can exist. No one wants to suffer. No one wants to wake up early. No one wants to repeat the same practice for years until mastery is born. But that's the price. Do you think Carnegie wanted to work for 12 hours a day at age 13 in a cotton factory? Do you think Kobe enjoyed showing up to the gym at 4 a.m. while everyone else was asleep? Do you think Bezos liked taking risks that could have buried him in debt? They didn't follow feelings. They followed standards. And those standards weren't created on the mountaintop. They were created in the valley, in the lonely hours, in the quiet sacrifices, in the brutal, boring, uncelebrated consistency of doing the work no one sees. That's where greatness is born. And you want to know the truth? Most people don't fail because they lacked opportunity. They fail because they refused to outwork their excuses. They got tired. They got distracted. They started listening to people who quit on themselves. But the dream? The vision? It only answers to those who persist. You will not rise by accident. You will not stumble into your best self. There is no shortcut. There is no cheat code. There is only this moment. And the choice to do what you said you would do, even when the world isn't watching. That's what separates the few from the forgotten. The doers from the dreamers. The builders from the believers. Belief is the spark, but action is the fire. If you want it, really want it, you must become immune to excuses. You must become obsessed with execution. You must work like your name is already carved into history, and now it's just a matter of time. Because the world doesn't respond to potential, it responds to proof. Discipline is the difference between the life you want and the life you settle for. So show up. Daily. Silently. Relentlessly. Not because it's easy. Not because it's glamorous. But because you made a decision. And every day you follow through on that decision, you become someone the old you could never imagine. Let me leave you with this. You will be tested. You will be ignored, doubted, mocked, left behind. There will be days where nothing works, where the plan crumbles, where the weight feels unbearable and you question whether it's even worth it. And this is the moment most people bow out. They say, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe I'm not the one. Maybe this isn't my time. But if you hear anything, hear this. That moment is not your ending. It is your invitation. Life doesn't test the weak, it tests the worthy. And if it's hard, good. That means you're close. Because everything in this world will try to keep you average. Comfort will whisper, doubt will shout. But your soul knows you were not born for a quiet life. You were born to build, to create, to lead, to elevate. To begin where others stop, to stand where others run, to rise again and again until your name echoes in the halls of history. No one's coming to save you. No mentor, no miracle, no shortcut. But there's something far more powerful already in your possession. A decision. One that says, I don't care what the world thinks I am.
I know what I'm becoming. I will not delay. I will not wait. I will not sit another day watching others live the life I was built for. I will rise. I will begin. And I will not stop. Because most people fail before they even begin. But you are not most people. You are the storm they didn't see coming, the fire that never dies, the proof that destiny is claimed, not gifted. So rise, begin, today, now. The path is waiting, and your future is begging you to start.